So in this video we are going to discuss about the concept of series resonance. So in the previous lectures we have discussed about the frequency response of a circuit. So frequency response of the circuit is obtained by varying a frequency of the source, maintaining its amplitude constant, and the response obtained is called as the frequency response. By varying the parameter omega, we are obtaining the response of the circuit. Now, resonance. Resonance is when obtaining this frequency response of the circuit. Frequency response, it consists of two plots. One is the amplitude plot, another one is the phase plot. So there will be a peak in the amplitude plot, and that peak, when it occurs, is called as the resonance in a circuit. So let us discuss in detail. So here the most prominent feature of the frequency response of a circuit may be the sharp peak or resonant peak exhibited in its amplitude characteristic. So in the frequency response of the circuit, so frequency response consists of two plots. One is the amplitude plot, another one is the phase plot. So in the amplitude plot, we will have a sharp peak or resonant peak. So the concept of resonance, it applies in several areas of science and engineering. Resonance occurs in any system that has a complex conjugate pair of poles. So normally resonance occurs in any system which has a complex conjugate pair of poles. So we have already discussed about the transfer function. So in the transfer function, it consists of zeros and poles. So if a system consists of conjugate pair of poles, then it is likely that resonance will occur in that system, because, and we have also discussed in the sinusoidal analysis of circuits, sinusoidal analysis, that is the step response analysis, where we will be having complex conjugate pair of poles. So if we have the complex conjugate pair of poles, then the response is likely to be oscillatory, right? So if the resonance occurs in the system, then it has a complex conjugate pair of poles. If there is a complex conjugate pair of poles, then it causes oscillations, and obviously because of the inductor and the capacitive components in the circuit, there will be oscillations of stored energy from one form to another. It is the phenomenon that allows frequency discrimination in communication networks. Resonance occurs in any circuit that has at least one inductor and one capacitor. So resonance, it occurs in a circuit where it has one inductor and one capacitor. So it should consist of storage elements, that is the inductor and the capacitor. Now consider the series resonance circuit. You can see there is a voltage source. Voltage source Vs is equal to Vm angle theta. Vm is the maximum voltage and theta is the phase angle, and there are three circuit elements: resistor, inductor and capacitor. So resistor represented by R, and you can see that this circuit is represented in frequency domain. If it had been represented in time domain, then this inductor will be represented simply as L, and this capacitor will be represented simply as C. But this is a frequency domain circuit, right? So L is represented as j omega L, and C is represented as 1 by j omega C. So this is a series resonance circuit. All these components are connected in series with this voltage source. So because of this, there is a current flow in the circuit, and that is taken as I. Now resonance is a condition in an RLC circuit in which the capacitive and the inductive reactances are equal in magnitude, thereby resulting in a purely resistive impedance. So resonance is nothing but a condition which occurs in a series RLC circuit where the capacitive and inductive reactance are equal. Reactance, so reactance, it is represented by the term X. So in the condition is the capacitive and inductive reactances are equal. So it is XL will be equal to XC, right? Thereby resulting in a purely resistive impedance. If XL is equal to XC, then we will have Z is equal to R. We will see that here. So here the resonance circuit series R parallel are useful for constructing filters as their transfer functions can be highly frequency selective. So these resonance circuits are mainly used for constructing filters. Filters are circuits which filters out particular signal, which filters out the signal that occurs at a particular frequency and rejects some other signals. Okay, so it is useful for constructing filters as these filters can be highly frequency selective. They are used in many applications such as selecting the desired stations in radio and TV receivers. Consider the series RLC circuit shown here in the frequency domain. The input impedance is, so we are going to calculate Z. So this input impedance is the transfer function H of omega. So normally Z is equal to V by I. So Vs by I. So which is equal to, what is the impedance of the circuit? R plus j omega L plus 1 by j omega C. Series circuit. So all the things should be added. So R plus j omega L plus 1 by j omega C. This is the value of impedance. R, Z can be represented as R plus j into omega L minus 1 by omega C. You can see that plus j is taken as common outside. So this 1 by j can be written as, so actually this 1 by j can be written as minus j by omega C. So take j plus j as common outside, we will get omega L minus 1 by omega C. Resonance results when the imaginary part of the transfer function is 0. We have already seen the condition for resonance. Condition for resonance is when the inductive reactance and capacitive reactance are equal. So this is the inductive reactance and this is the capacitive reactance. These are equal in the sense, so this imaginary part should be equated to 0. So imaginary part of Z is equal to omega L minus 1 by omega C is equal to 0. Only then we will get XL is equal to XC. Now this is the condition for resonance. Now the value of omega that satisfies this condition is called the resonance frequency omega naught. Now this is the condition for resonance. L and C are constant, only the parameter omega is varying, right? Omega is the frequency component which is varying. Now we should find out the value of omega that satisfies this condition, that XL becomes equal to XC. It will not be equal in all the cases. Only for a particular frequency XL will be equal to XC. XL is omega L and XC is 1 by omega C. Okay, only for a particular frequency, that particular omega, this XL will be equal to XC. So that particular omega is taken as omega naught, which is nothing but the resonant frequency. Thus the resonant condition is omega naught L is equal to 1 by omega naught C. Omega naught L is equal to 1 by omega naught C. So which is equal to omega naught is equal to 1 by root of LC. Unit is radians per second, or since we know that omega naught is equal to 2 pi f naught. So f naught, frequency f naught is equal to 1 by 2 pi root of LC, hertz. Okay, frequency hertz or angular frequency radians per second. This is series resonance. So now let us discuss the variation of reactance with respect to frequency. Now let us take the inductor first. So inductive reactance, that is XL, is equal to omega L. So omega can be written as 2 pi FL. So this is the value of inductive reactance. Okay, now we are actually plotting in reactance, that is inductive reactance, with respect to frequency. Frequency component is this F. We are varying F from 0 etc. up to some hertz. Okay, some whichever hertz, let us say we are varying from 0 to infinity. So that is what the frequency response is. We are varying the frequency and noting down what is the reactance. So apply each and every value of F and find out what is XL. So from this graph we can see that if frequency increases, what happens to this XL? These are directly proportional, right? F and XL are directly proportional. So if frequency increases, XL also increases. That is what is given here. Inductive reactance is positive and is directly proportional to frequency. If F increases, XL also increases. So this becomes a linear curve. So this is how the inductive reactance changes with respect to frequency. Next we will move on to capacitive reactance. Capacitive reactance is Xc is equal to 1 by omega C. So omega can be again written as 2 pi Fc. So omega is equal to 2 pi Fc. Again this is the frequency response. We are going to vary the frequency and note down what is Xc and plot that. Okay, so here you can notice that Xc and F are inversely proportional because it is in the denominator. So if F increases, what happens to Xc? Xc decreases. So it decreases. So this is the inversely proportional relationship. So the capacitive reactance is negative and is inversely proportional to frequency. Now our concept of resonance occurs, that is the condition it occurs is XL will be equal to Xc. This is the condition when resonance occurs. Now let us superimpose these two curves and find out the point of resonance. So you can see that this curve is the inductive reactance. So when frequency increases, XL also increases. Then this curve is the capacitive reactance. So when frequency increases, Xc decreases. Now these two curves meets at this point, right? This point. So this is the point where XL is equal to Xc, or XL minus Xc is equal to 0. Now at what frequency this XL is equal to Xc? That frequency is what we call it as resonant frequency Fr. Okay, so here in this, so beyond this resonant frequency, the circuit is highly inductive. Below this resonant frequency, the circuit is highly capacitive. Okay, you can notice that here you can see beyond this point, which is higher, XL is higher, right? So from this point the circuit will be acting, that is beyond FR the circuit is inductive in this region, and below this the circuit is capacitive, that is below FR the circuit is capacitive. Now at higher frequency XL is high, and at a lower frequency XC is high. You can notice that this is the lower frequency point and we have XC higher whereas XL lower. So again the circuit is capacitive, and you can see at higher frequency XC is lesser and XL is higher. Okay, so again the circuit is inductive. Now impedance in a series resonance circuit. Now we discussed about the reactance. So again we will be discussing about impedance. Reactance is X, impedance is Z. The relationship is Z is equal to R plus J X. So this is the relationship. Z is the impedance, R is the resistance, X is the reactance. Now impedance in a series resonance circuit. So we are going to plot frequency versus impedance. So by varying the frequency we are going to plot the response of impedance. So again below the resonant frequency the circuit is capacitive, so XC is higher and XL is lower, and above the resonant frequency XL is greater than XC, so the circuit is inductive. Okay, now this is the point where XL becomes equal to XC. So here this X can be written as XL minus XC. So if this is equal to 0, then what happens in this relationship? Z becomes equal to R. So that is what is given here. So when XL becomes equal to XC, impedance of the series resonance circuit is equal to the resistance. Now this part of the impedance is what we call it as dynamic impedance. So that is what is given here. The two reactances cancel each other out so that the total impedance of the circuit becomes the value of resistance, and therefore Z is equal to R. Then at resonance, the impedance of a series circuit is at its minimum value, that is at resonance at this point. Impedance of the series resonance circuit is at its minimum. This is the minimum value and equal only to the resistance R of the circuit. The circuit impedance at resonance is called as the dynamic impedance of the circuit. That is, the value of Z at resonant frequency is called as dynamic impedance. Now next is series circuit current at resonance. Now you can see the relationship between Z and I. Z can be related to resistance in a circuit. Now apply Ohm's law. V is equal to IR. Okay, or you can take R is equal to V by I. So if resistance is higher, current will be lower. The same concept is applied here. You can see that I is equal to, this is the resonant current, so frequency versus circuit current. You can see with this graph, this is completely reverse of this graph. So at this point the resistance is lower If resistance is lower, obviously current will be higher. So I will be equal to V by R. Why V by R is at this point Z is equal to R. So I is equal to V by R. Here the impedance is minimum, so current is maximum at the resonance frequency. Okay, that is I max. Okay, now below the resonant frequency, we know that the circuit is capacitive, that is Xc. So I is equal to V by Zc, R plus Xc. Okay, because the circuit is highly capacitive, not completely capacitive, highly capacitive. Okay, so I will be equal to V by Zc. Similarly, beyond the resonant frequency, the circuit is inductive in nature, that is, again it is not completely inductive but highly inductive. So I is equal to V by ZL. Okay, so this is how the circuit current flows in a series resonant circuit. Next we will discuss about the phase angle of a series resonant circuit. So phase angle is, we know that the angle between voltage and current in a circuit, right? So that is what we call it as phase angle. So we denoted by a factor of phi. Here it is denoted as theta. Both are same. It denotes the phase angle between voltage and current. Voltage and current. Now apply the same here. So this resonant curve is divided into three parts. One is at the resonant frequency, another one is above the resonant frequency, another one is below the resonant frequency. So you take this first graph. Below the resonant frequency, we know that the circuit is capacitive. So in a capacitor, current leads the voltage. So you can see this waveform. This is the current waveform. This is the voltage waveform. So current leads the voltage by a factor of theta. Okay. So at resonant frequency is the second condition. At resonant frequency, we know that XL is equal to Xc and Z is equal to R. So that means the circuit is purely resistive. So in a resistor, we know that current and voltage are in phase with each other. So there is no phase difference and theta is equal to 0. And then above the resonant frequency, that is, the circuit is purely inductive, and in an inductor we know that current lags the voltage. So you can see this is the voltage waveform and this is the current waveform. So current lags the voltage. So here by an angle of again theta. Okay, now the same graph is plotted here. So if we apply this, so this is how the phase angle and the reactances is plotted. So with respect to frequency, what is the phase angle? When there is an increase in frequency, below the resonant frequency the circuit is capacitive and we get this phase angle. That is, the phase angle is positive for frequencies above FR. So phase angle is positive for frequencies above FR and negative for frequencies below FR. So we can also notice that these are some of the points. Now note that at resonance, the impedance is purely resistive. Impedance is purely resistive, that is Z is equal to R. It means that the LC series combination acts like a short circuit and the entire voltage is across R. Now if you go back to this circuit, you can see at resonance what happens? Z becomes equal to R. So here L and C, it simply acts like a short circuit. So the voltage which is supplied is completely delivered only to this resistance. So this is what the first point means. Next one, the voltage Vs and the current I are in phase, so that the power factor is unity. We know the concept of power factor. So phase angle is the angle between voltage and current, and power factor is represented by a factor of cos phi. So in this condition you can see that there is no phase difference. Theta is 0. So cos 0 is 1. So this is what it means. When V and I are in phase, the power factor is unity. Next, the magnitude of the transfer function h of omega is equal to z of omega is minimum, because we can see that this is the point where the impedance is minimum, that is z is equal to r. So the transfer function is also, magnitude of the transfer function is also minimum. The inductor voltage and capacitor voltage can be much more than source voltage. So at the condition of resonance, the voltage across the inductor and the capacitor can be more than the source voltage. So next is the frequency response of the circuit's current magnitude is I is equal to modulus of I, which is equal to V by Z, right? So Vm by root of R square plus omega L minus 1 by omega C the whole square. So this is the frequency plot of the circuit. So at the x-axis the terminology is frequency, so it is denoted as omega, and again here it is current, that is in the y-axis it is current. Okay, so here the average power dissipated by the RLC circuit is, average power dissipated by the RLC circuit is P of omega is equal to half I squared R, right? Power dissipated in a circuit is, we know that, half I square R. Now the highest power dissipated across resonance is when I is equal to Vm by R. Substitute I is equal to Vm by R in this, so we will get the value of power at resonance. So power at resonance, you can see omega is replaced by omega naught. So P of omega naught is equal to 1 by 2 Vm square by R. At certain frequencies, that is omega is equal to omega 1, omega 2, the dissipated power is half the maximum value. That is, instead of Vm, we have to substitute Vm by root 2. You can see this graph. So this is current versus frequency. So maximum peak is the maximum current, and the frequency at which it occurs is the omega naught. So this is the resonant frequency, and we have two more frequencies, omega 1 and omega 2. Omega 1 lesser than the resonant frequency and omega 2 greater than the resonant frequency. Both has a magnitude of 0.707 Vm by R. So that is Vm by root 2. Magnitude of Vm by root 2. So instead of this Vm, replace it by Vm by root 2. So this is the power at omega 1 and omega 2. Now this omega 1 and omega 2 are called as half power frequencies. Half power frequencies. Now these half power frequencies can be obtained by setting Z is equal to root of 2R. Now this is the value of Z, root of R square plus omega L minus 1 by omega C the whole square. Re-equate Z is equal to 2R and solve for omega. So if we solve, we will get the values of omega 1 and omega 2. Omega 1 is equal to minus R by 2L plus root of R by 2L the whole square plus 1 by LC. And again omega 2 is equal to R by 2L plus root of R by 2L the whole square plus 1 by LC. You can see these are the roots of this equation. So these are the values of half power frequency omega 1 and omega 2. Now we can relate the half power frequencies with the resonant frequency. So from equation 14.26, that is here. So omega naught is equal to 1 by root of LC, and 14.33. So with this we can find out that omega naught is equal to root of omega 1 and omega 2, showing that the resonant frequency is the geometric mean of the half power frequency. So the relationship between omega naught is resonant frequency, omega 1, omega 2 is half power frequencies. The relationship is omega naught is equal to root of omega 1 and omega 2. Now, although the height of the curve is determined by r, the width of the curve depends upon other factors. So you can notice this resonant curve. The height of this curve is determined by the parameter r, right? Because this is I, right? V is constant, right? This r is the value which determines the height of this curve. I is equal to V by R. This is the relationship, that is Ohm's law. So if resistance value is very less, then I will be higher. It means that you will get a higher peak in this curve, right? So the height of the curve is determined by only the value of resistance, whereas the width of the curve, that is width of the curve is this point, this width of the curve is this, right? So it is dependent upon several factors. What are the factors is, it depends upon the bandwidth, which is defined as the difference between two half power frequencies. So bandwidth determines the width of the curve. Bandwidth is represented by B, which is actually the difference between two half power frequencies, which is equal to omega 2 minus omega 1. The sharpness of the resonance in a resonant circuit is measured quantitatively by the quality factor Q. So we will get a peak like this. Now how sharp this peak will be is determined by a factor called as quality factor Q. At resonance, the reactive energy in the circuit oscillates between the inductor and capacitor. We know that at resonance Z will be equal to R, and there will be some kind of energy stored in the capacitor and inductor, and that energy will oscillate within, that is between inductor and capacitor. The quality factor relates the maximum or peak energy stored to the energy dissipated in the circuit per cycle of oscillation. So Q is defined as maximum or peak energy stored. So peak energy stored to the energy dissipated in the circuit per cycle of oscillation. So we have 2 pi here, right? Per cycle of oscillation. So peak energy stored in the circuit by energy dissipated by the circuit in one period at resonance. Okay, it is also regarded as the measure of energy storage property of a circuit in relation to the energy dissipating property. So you can also say that it is the ratio of energy stored to the energy dissipated by a circuit, right? So in the series resonance, that is in the series RLC circuit, what is the peak energy stored? So energy can be stored in two circuit elements. One is inductor, another one is capacitor. Let us consider the energy, maximum energy stored in the inductor. What is the maximum energy stored in the inductor? It is half Li square. While the energy dissipated in one period is, what is the dissipating element here? Only the resistor is the dissipating element. Other inductor and capacitor are storage elements. So let us consider that inductor, it stores a maximum. Inductor, the energy stored in the inductor is half Li square, that is the maximum energy stored. So half Li square, substitute it in here. So half 2 pi into half Li square by energy dissipated is across the resistor. What is the energy dissipated? Half I square R T, right? Instead of T we have 1 by F naught. This occurs at resonance. Okay, so frequency is F naught. Instead of T we have taken as 1 by F naught. If we rearrange, we will get this equation, that is 2 pi F naught L by R. So Q will be equal to omega naught L by R. Okay, so this is when, this is if we consider the inductor. Suppose the next consider the capacitor also. The maximum energy stored in the capacitor is half CV square, right? So here instead of half Li square, substitute half CV square and proceed, you will get this one, right? So Q will be equal to 1 by omega naught CR. So notice that this factor is dimensionless. It doesn't have any unit. The relationship between bandwidth and quality factor is obtained by substituting equation that is this equation, that is omega 1 and omega 2 into this equation. So bandwidth can be found using B will be equal to R by L, right? And utilizing equation this one. So R by L, so if we take this, R by L is B. So here you will get 1 by B. So B will be equal to omega naught by Q. So bandwidth is equal to R by L or omega naught by Q. Or rearranging this equation, bandwidth will be equal to omega naught square R C. Thus, the quality factor of a resonant circuit is the ratio of its resonant frequency to its bandwidth. Ratio of resonant frequency to bandwidth. You can rearrange this equation, that is B is equal to omega naught by Q. So Q is equal to omega naught by B. Q is the quality factor. It is the ratio of resonant frequency to bandwidth. Now, this is the series resonant curve. Depending upon the value of Q, you will get the different shapes of this resonant curve. You can see that again, x-axis is omega, y-axis is amplitude. So we know that Q is a factor called as quality factor. It determines how sharp the resonant peak will be. So this peak. So depending upon the value of Q, you can see the difference in this peak, right? So as illustrated in this figure, higher the value of Q, the more selective the circuit is, but smaller the bandwidth. You can see that this curve Q3, you can see Q3 has a sharp peak, right? So it means the circuit is greatest selectivity. So first let us see what is selectivity. Selectivity of the RLC circuit is the ability of the circuit to respond to a certain frequency and discriminate against all other frequencies. So what is selectivity? Selectivity is, it's going to select particular frequency and reject many other frequencies. That is what is selectivity is. So ability of the circuit to respond to a certain frequency and discriminate other frequencies. So if selectivity is very high, then we will get a only certain amount of frequencies and all other frequencies will be rejected. So if the band of frequencies to be selected or rejected is narrow, the quality factor of the resonant circuit must be high. So if selectivity should be high, then Q should be high. So Q and selectivity are directly proportional. If you have higher value of Q, so Q is directly proportional to selectivity. If you have a higher value of Q, then selectivity will be higher. Then we have a narrow bandwidth. Bandwidth is the difference between two frequencies, that is omega 2 and omega 1. So take this Q3, you can see the curve is very sharp. It means the circuit is highly selective, which has a higher Q factor, and you can see the corresponding bandwidth of Q3, it is smaller. Now compare it with Q2. So this is the curve of Q2. You can see the peak is comparatively smaller compared to Q3. So if it is comparatively smaller, then Q2 value is small and it has medium selectivity. If selectivity is medium, you can see the bandwidth becomes higher, right? Because this is the bandwidth of 2 compared to B2 is higher, right? Similarly, take the last curve, that is Q1. Q1 has the least selectivity because you can see the curve is almost like a parabolic, not a sharp curve, okay, but a blunt curve, right? It means that Q1 has least selectivity. This is going to pass all the frequencies, right? It is not highly selective. Now take the bandwidth of Q1. You can see it is higher compared to B2, right? So Q factor determines the selectivity of the circuit. If Q factor is high, it means that circuit is highly selective and the bandwidth is narrow. Okay, so Q is directly proportional to selectivity and inversely proportional to bandwidth. So a resonant circuit is designed to operate at or near its resonant frequency. It is said to be a high Q circuit when its quality factor is equal to or greater than 10. So if Q is greater than or equal to 10, then that circuit is said to be high Q circuit or highly selective circuit. So for higher Q circuits, the half power frequencies are given by this formula, that is omega 1 is equal to omega naught minus b by 2 and omega 2 is equal to omega naught plus b by 2. So this type of high Q circuits are often used in communication networks. Okay, so in the concept of series resonance, we have studied about the resonant frequency omega naught. The formula is 1 by root of LC, or F naught is equal to 1 by 2 pi root of LC. Next we have half power frequencies omega 1 and omega 2. Omega 1 and omega 2 are given by these formulas. And omega naught is equal to root of omega 1 and omega 2. And then we have bandwidth is B is equal to omega 2 minus omega 1. And we have Q factor, Q is equal to omega naught L by R or 1 by omega naught CR, or we have the relationship between bandwidth, resonant frequency and quality factor. So depending upon the value of quality factor, the resonant peak will be sharper. So quality factor determines the selectivity of the circuit as well as the bandwidth of the circuit. So we will discuss a numerical problem related to the series resonance. So the problem statement is, in the circuit of figure shown here, R is equal to 2 ohm, L is equal to 1 millihenry and C is equal to 0.4 microfarad. So first is find the resonant frequency and half power frequencies, calculate the quality factor and bandwidth, determine the amplitude of current at omega naught, omega 1 and omega 2. So what is given? Value of V is given, then RLC is given. So resonant frequency is omega naught is equal to 1 by root of LC. Substitute the value of L and C and calculate omega naught. Next is we have to calculate the half power frequencies. Half power frequencies, that is omega 1 and omega 2. So omega 1 formula is minus R by 2L plus root of R by 2L square, 2L the whole square plus 1 by LC. Substitute the values of R, L and C and find out the value of omega n. Similarly find out omega 2. Next what we have to calculate? We have to calculate the bandwidth and quality factor. Bandwidth is omega 2 minus omega 1. So we'll give you the formula, we'll give you the value of bandwidth. Then the relationship between bandwidth, resonant frequency and quality factor is B is equal to omega naught by Q, right? So B is equal to omega naught by Q. So Q is equal to omega naught by B. So quality factor is found. This is one method. Another method is, so we also have a formula Q is equal to omega naught L by R. So from that we can calculate the quality factor. Then we can calculate the bandwidth alternatively. So quality factor value is, it is greater than 10. So it is a highly selective circuit. So we can use this formula to calculate the value of omega 1 and omega 2. Comparatively this is simpler. So in the last part of the question is, we have to determine the amplitude of the current at omega naught, omega 1 and omega 2. So at omega is equal to omega naught, we know I is equal to Vm by R because Z is equal to R. So this is the value of current at resonant frequency. Next at omega is equal to omega 1 and omega 2, I is equal to Vm by 2R. How will we be calculating omega 1 and omega 2? In the derivation we saw that Z will be equated to root of 2R. So at half power frequency Z is equal to root of 2R. So substitute the value. So this is the value of current at half power frequencies.